Welcome back sa ating Fundamentals of Accountancy, Business and Management class. Tayo ay nasa Business and Income Taxation topic na. Ako pa rin ang inyong guro, Romualdo Fernandez Credo. So pakikuha na ang ballpen at papel para sa inyong note. So let's start. Naririto muna ang milk ng ating lesson. Number 1. Define income and business taxation and its principles and processes. Number 2. Explain the procedure in the computation of gross taxable income and tax due. Number 3. Explain the principles and purposes of taxation. So, ang governing law sa tax administration in the Philippines is yung National Internal Revenue Code of 1997. Although marami ng revision and amendments na nangyari sa Tax Code of 1997, it is still valid yung ating tax code kasi hindi pa siya nare-repeal. Yung pag-repeal, yan yung ibig sabihin, yung law ay hindi na valid. Pero since hindi pa nare-refill yung tax code of 1997 natin, in effect pa rin siya. Pero marami ng revisions like yung mga rates, yung tables, yung mga ibang exemptions and inclusions sa mga taxable income at saka deductions na bago na. Kaya kung babasahin mo yung tax code, may mga provision na doon na hindi na applicable kasi nga mayroon ng amendments na nangyari. Like for example, yung sa create law, 'di ba? So mayroong major impact doon sa tax code natin. So ang mag-administer ng ating taxation, yung agency na inassign is of course, alam niyo na, Bureau of Internal Revenue or yung BIR, which is yung BIR is under the supervision of Department of Finance. Para sa principles of taxation, medyo mahaba kasi yun. So I will be attaching a separate video para i-discuss yung principles of taxation. So pakipanood din yun. I-upload ko din sabay nito. So who are required to pay income tax in the Philippines? So sino yung mga taxpayer natin under sa Section 23 daw ng National Internal Revenue Code of the Philippines? So we have citizen of the Philippines, living in the Philippines, and ang kanyang taxable income is within and without the Philippines. So, ibig sabihin, kapag ikaw ay citizen of the Philippines and at the same time, you are living in the Philippines, nakatira ka dito sa Philippines, ang taxable income mo, ang income mo ay subject to tax regardless of location. Saan mo man na-earn yung income, taxable. For example, may work ka sa Philippines, tapos may business ka sa other country, it is still taxable kahit located yung income mo sa other country. Next, a non-resident citizen is taxable on income only in the Philippines. So, kapag ang status mo naman ay non-resident citizen ka, citizen of the Philippines ka, you are born and raised dito. However, for some reason, umalis ka na sa Philippines at nag-reside sa other country. So, kung ganyan ang case mo, ikaw ay magiging taxable lang kapag na-earn mo yung income mo sa Philippines. Kung may income ka sa other country, hindi nakasama. An OFW is taxable on income earned only in the Philippines. So kapag OFW, syempre, yung na-earn lang dito sa Philippines, yung na-earn niya sa other country, hindi na magiging taxable. A foreigner living in the Philippines is taxable only on income earned in the Philippines. Kung hindi ka citizen ng Philippines, foreigner ka, so magiging taxable ka lang kapag ikaw ay may income na na-earn dito sa Philippines. Next, domestic corporation is taxable on all income derived from sources inside and outside the Philippines. So parang yung number one din ito, yung citizen of the Philippines at the same time living in the Philippines or resident na tinatawag natin. So parehas ito ng domestic corporation, yung income niya lahat taxable. Nandito man sa Philippines or sa other country na earn, taxable pa rin. Foreign corporation is taxable on income derived outside the Philippines. Ayun. Kapag foreign corporation naman, ito yung corporation na na-organize sa law ng other country, pero nag-ooperate sa Philippines. So, magiging taxable lang siya kapag may income siya dito sa Philippines. And meron pa tayong ibang taxpayer, yung estate and trust. Sources of gross income. So, saan manggagaling yung iyong gross income na magiging taxable? It is enumerated by the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997. So, nasa Chapter 6 siya, Section 32A. So, ito yung mga naka-enumerate doon. Compensation, yung remuneration for services rendered under employee-employer relationship paid in whatever form. So, ibig sabihin, cash man yan o hindi, paid in kinds, as long as mayroong employer-employee relationship, it is still compensation, income, at pwede kang masubject to tax. So, ang example daw ng compensation income is salaries, fees, wages, commissions, and other similar items. Gross income derived from conduct of trade or business. So, kapag ikaw ay nagbabuying and selling ng mga commodities, so nag-i-engage ka sa trade or business, so ikaw ay mayroong gross income. Or hindi naman, ikaw ay very skilled. So, pwede mong i-offer yung services mo sa mga client for a fee, then ikaw ay pwede mong i-exercise ang iyong profession. Next is yung gains derived from dealings in real property. Yung real property, yan yung mga immovable, yung mga properties that is attached to the ground with permanence. Kaya nga subject siya ng capital gains tax kasi real property. Yan. Hindi lang sinabi dun sa title niya, pero it is immovable property. Yung nire-refer niya kasi subject to 6% capital gain. So, pag magbebenta ka ng land and building, real property yan. So, yung capital gains tax will apply. Interest, ito naman yung interest na from deposit and similar arrangement, yung passive income. Kasi sabi dyan, subject to final tax. Next, yung rent income, If you have property na hindi ginagamit, so let others use for a fee para magkaroon ka ng rental income. So for example, yung room sa bahay nyo, 4, hindi ginagamit yung isa, so pwede mong ipa-rent yung room para magkaroon kayo ng rental income rather. Ng rental income. Royalties, it is actually a right, yung royalty. Like for example, yung na mayroon kang musical composition or literary works. Pag sumulat ka nun, so magkakaroon ka ng right doon. Pag ginamit nila at may income doon, babayaran ka nila. Ganon din sa royalty on books. Nagsulat ka ng book, pag nakabenta yung publisher, syempre magkakaroon ka ng income. So kapag ang royalty ay from books, literary works, and musical composition, ang passive income, ang final tax niya ay 10%. Pero pag other royalties na, yung other rights mo na gagamitin nila, hindi galing sa book, literary works, and musical composition, it is 20% daw ang kanyang final tax. Dividends, kapag may shares ka ng corporation, so syempre, bibigyan kanila ng share mo doon sa income nila rather. So ang tawag natin doon ay dividends. Annuities, yan yung mga annual premiums na binabayaran sa insurance company. So annuities ang tawag doon. Another is prizes and winnings. So itong prizes and winnings natin, pwede siyang subject to final tax na 20% kasi passive income siya, or pwede rin naman siyang isama na lang sa gross income. So pag nag-exceed ng 10,000. So another gross income is yung pension, pero yung pension pwede siyang ma-exempt kapag na-comply yung requirement. Ito yung regular amount na ibibigay sa iyo after your retirement. Pension ang tawag doon. Provided na mayroong program na ganyan yung company or yung company or yung organization or yung employer. And then last is yung partners distributive share in the net income of general professional partnership. 'Di ba sa partnership, magkakaroon ng 2 or more person as owner. So yung income nun paghahatian nila. So yun yung sinasabing distributive share sa net income ng partnership. Employed individuals earning compensation income must pay their taxes on a monthly basis. So, hindi lang enough na monthly basis na yan dahil kailangan ng government ng fund para i-defray yung kanyang expenses. So, nag-devise na sila ng system para ma-collect kaagad yung tax. So, under sa withholding tax system, expanded withholding tax system sa compensation income, yung employer is mandated to deduct yung amount ng tax doon sa salary ng employee. So, pag natanggap mo yung salary mo, deducted na doon yung tax. Dapat para masunod yung in-implement ng BIR na expanded withholding tax system sa compensation. So kapag hindi binabawas ng company yung tax mo kapag ikaw ay sumisweldo, ibig sabihin nagba-violate sila sa rule na withholding tax system. So hindi na ikaw ang magbabayad personally sa BIR ng tax mo, dinideduct na ng company. At company na ang magre-remit sa BIR. Philippine individual tax is progressive. Ano ibig sabihin ng progressive? Ayan, the tax rate increases as the tax base increases. So, parang direct ang effect niya. Direct ang effect ng tax rates sa iyong income. So, pag tumataas yung income mo, it will follow. Susunod, tataas din yung rates. Bababa yung income mo, bababa din yung rate ng taxes. So, bababa din yung amount ng tax na babayaran mo. Business income. The tax payments of business organized as sole proprietorship are made in the name of its owner. So, ipapangalan sa may-ari ng business. The owner is considered an individual taxpayer who derive income from business. So, he is required to file BIR Form 1701. So, unlike sa corporation, no, sa partnership, kasi yung partnership considered as corporation na, and yung corporation ay merong juridical personality. So, sa BIR, siya na, nakapangalan na sa kanya yung ITR, yung form. Pero pag sole proprietorship, hindi, sa owner pala. So, walang juridical personality ang hindi separate. Walang juridical personality kasi na-create na binigay ang law sa sole proprietorship. Businesses may settle their income tax liabilities and submit income tax return to the government 3 months and 15 days from the close of the year. Kaya nga April 15 kasi 3 months, January, February, March. O, pagtapos ng March, April na. Kasi 3 months and 15 days. So, you have to pay na yung income tax. Pero may quarterly filing. Two approaches for computation of income tax for businesses. So, ito applicable lang ito sa mga mayroong business income. So, sa compensation income earner, hindi siyempre applicable ito. So, mayroong dalawang option ang business owner sa pag-compute ng kanyang taxable income. So, dun sa kanyang gross income, pwede siyang gumamit ng itemized deduction or optional standard deduction. So, yung sa itemized deduction, so walang problema, gross income, tapos ang i-deduct mo dyan is yung actual expenses na na-incur ng business. So, ito yung naka-record sa'yo. Yung actual business expenses na naka-record sa books mo and supported by receipts. So, kapag yon ang gusto mong i-deduct, then ang tawag doon ay itemized deduction. So, yung mga, kung ang gagamitin mong i-deduct, kung ang gusto mong i-deduct sa gross income mo ay yung mga naka-record sa books na expenses, mga rentals doon, mga advertisement, mga electricity, etc., etc., na naka-record per book. So, ang tawag doon ay itemized deduction. So, yun yung isang option mo. So, gross income minus itemized deduction is taxable income na. Magko-compute na tayo ng taxable income kasi yun ang purpose natin. Yun yung doon natin i-multiply yung tax rates. So, para ma-compute yung taxable income, ito yung isang option mo, itemized deduction. Another option is yung optional standard deduction naman. So, from your gross income, hindi mo natitignan kung ano yung mga naka-record na expenses sa book. Magdideduct ka na lang ng 40% from yung gross receipts. So, siyempre, mayroong requirements ito. Yung optional standard deduction, kailangan i-meet yung requirements. For mixed income earner, ito naman yung taxpayer na combination ang kanyang source of income. So, compensation income earner or meron siyang business or nag-exercise siya ng profession. So, kapag mixed income earner siya, a taxpayer deriving mixed income will also use, so parang sa business income, gagamit din siya ng 1701 na BIR form. So, case A tayo. First scenario. So, if an individual taxpayer earns only compensation income. So, kung wala siyang other income, compensation income lang. So, ito yung format ng computation ng kanyang taxable income. As mentioned a while ago, kailangan natin ng taxable income kasi dyan natin i-multiply yung mga tax rate. So, importanteng maintindihan nyo kung paano kumuha ng taxable income. So, for compensation income, ito yon. Gross compensation, salary and other bonuses, yung wala pang deduction, less statutory contributions like SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. Yan. Equals gross compensation income net of statutory payments less yung 13-month pay and other bonuses na exempted equals taxable income. So, in other words, yung less na yan is yung exempted na bonus. So, hindi exempted meaning hindi siya taxable. So, kailangan mong i-deduct. So, equals taxable income. Yan na yung kanyang. So, please remember itong format ng computation ng taxable income ng compensation income earner lang. And, yun nga, since may taxable income na tayo, kailangan natin mag-compute ng tax. So, i-discuss na rin natin yung tax rate. So, ang tax rate natin ay dalawa. So, it's either itong table ang gagamitin natin or yung 8%. So, letter A muna tayo. Graduated income tax rates under Section 224A of Tax Code 1997 as amended by Republic Act number 1096-3 or 10,963. So, ito yung ating tax table na tinatawag natin. So, illustrate natin mamaya kung paano gamitin itong tax table. So, ito naman yung pangalawa, yung other option natin. So, yung kanina, yung table, no? It will apply sa individuals, no? Yung table. And then ito, letter B, for purely self-employed individual and professional whose gross sales or receipts and other operating income does not exceed the VAT threshold of 3 million pesos. So, the tax shall be at the taxpayer's option. So, ang mangyayari niyan, this is itong section B, itong letter B, ay mag-a-apply sa individual taxpayer. Ang requirement is that yung kanyang gross income ay hindi na-exceed yung VAT rate na 3 million. So, kapag nag-qualify siya doon, ang taxpayer ay mamimili dito sa dalawa. Number 1, ang pagpipilian niya, pwede siyang mag-apply ng 8% income tax on gross sales or gross receipts in excess of 250,000. So, pwedeng 8%. Kaya lang, ang tax base ng 8% ay gross receipts. Or, ang option, isa pang option mo, kasi dalawa nga, income tax based on graduated rate. Or gagamitin mo yung letter A, yung kanina, yung income tax table, yung kanina sa previous slide. So, sino ulit ang magde-decide? Si taxpayer. Mamimili siya kung 8% or yung tax payable. Kapag siya ay, ulitin natin, purely self-employed, ibig sabihin, engaged in trade or business, or nag-i-engage siya sa kanya, nag-i-exercise siya ng kanyang profession. For mixed income earner naman, ito ang rule. Ano na ulit ang mixed income earner? For ang mixed income earner ay ang individual na mayroong compensation income and then meron pa siyang income from business or profession. So ito yung rule sa ganong type ng income ng taxpayer or income earner. For income from compensation, so ang gagamitin daw ay graduated rates. Kapag mixed income earner ka, pag mixed income earner ka, yung compensation income mo will be taxed using yung graduated rates, yung table, ang sinasabing graduated rates. For income from business or practice or of profession, if the gross sales do not exceed 3 million, so mamimili yung taxpayer. Kapag 3 million pababa, mamimili ka 8% or yung graduated rates. Option mo. Pero pag nag-exceed na ng 3 million yung gross sales, wala ka nang magagawa. Wala ka nang option, wala ka nang choice, kundi gamitin ang graduated tax rates. So to summarize, yung first case natin, kapag compensation income earner ka lang, ang gagamitin mo ay tax table. Kapag ikaw naman ay purely income from business or exercise of profession ang yung source ng gross income, ang rule is mamimili ka, it's either 8% or yung income tax rate provided na hindi mo ma-exceed yung 3 million na gross income. And then ito sa mixed income earner, ang gagawin mo is yung compensation income will be taxed using yung graduated. Pero kapag yung gross income from business ay hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, ikaw ang mamimili kung 8% or yung tax table. And kapag nag-exceed mo na yung 3 million na gross income, na mawawala na yung option sa'yo. Ibig sabihin, you have to compute your tax using yung graduated rates na yung tax table. Passive income. So ito usually yung mga investment income. Ito yung mga income na na-earn with minimal or no effort at all. So sabi nga nila, ito usually yung mga investment income. And ang passive income, pwede siyang masubject to final withholding tax. So, pag sinabi natin final withholding tax, yun na yung tax niya. So, wala ka nang kailangang gawin. Pag na-receive mo yung income na yun, deducted na yung tax. So, wala ka nang problem. Yung company na magbabayad sa'yo ng income, yun na ang magre-remit. Siya ang responsible sa pag-remit ng withholding tax. Kasi sa withholding tax system, yung income payer, siya yung withholding agent. So, siya ang may primary responsibility na mag-remit sa tax ng doon sa passive income na subject to final withholding tax. So, let's go over yung mga passive investment income na subject to final tax. We have yung interest from currency deposits, trust fund, and deposit substitute. So, it will be subjected to 20%. So, pag i-credit sa account mo, yung interest na ma-earn mo sa bank, net of 20% na. Ibig sabihin, dinidak na ng banko yung 20%. Number 2, sa royalties naman, we have two types of royalty. Yung royalty on books, literary works, at saka musical composition, at saka yung royalty in general. Ito yung iyong rights dahil parang may ginawa ka. So, yun ay right mo. For example, nakagawa ka ng special equipment, or nagsulat ka ng book, or may kinompose kang poem or song. Ganon. So, mag-entitle ka, so may right ka para sa paggamit nung ginawa mo. So, magbabayad yung gagamit ng royalty. So, for example nga, yung music. Pag ginamit yung music na kinompose mo, so magbabayad sila ng right. Ang tawag doon ay royalty. So kapag books, literary works, and musical composition, ang final tax ay 10%, while kapag other royalty yun, it is 20%. Number 3, sa prices naman, kapag ang prices ay 10 or less, isasama mo siya sa graduated rate subject nung schedule, yung tax table na tinatawag natin, na i-discuss natin mamaya kung paano gamitin yung tax table. So remember, prices 10,000 or less ay subject ng graduated rate. So hindi siya subject ng final tax kasi wala siyang rates. However, yung winnings naman, so itong winnings na ito, except yung sa PCSO and Lotto, so amounting to 10,000 or less, it is 20%. From PCSO and Lotto amounting to 10,000 or less, it is exempt. Pero kapag nag-exceed na ng 10,000, siyempre, it will be subject to 20% na din na final tax on winnings. Before, yung winnings ng Lotto at saka PCSO, it is exempted. Yung dati. Number 5, interest income from depository bank under the expanded foreign currency deposit system. So, pag interest pero foreign currency, it is 50%. Medyo mas mababa ng konti. Pag sa regular deposit na hindi foreign currency, 20%. Pero pag foreign currency, it is 15%. Number 6, cash and property dividends received by an individual from domestic corporation. So pag ang individual nakatanggap ng dividends sa domestic corporation, it is subject to final tax of 10%. Shares of an individual in the distributable net income after tax of a partnership. So parang ganun, it is likened to dividends. So parehas lang sila ng rate 10%. Capital gain from sale and exchange or other disposition of real property located in the Philippines, sale of real property, 6% ang kanyang tax rate. Net capital gain from sale of shares of stock not traded, 15%. Number 10, interest income from long-term deposit, it is exempt. Pag long-term deposit, exempted yung interest income. However, pag na-pre-terminate yan, more than 4 years to 5 years, 5% ang applicable rate. More than 3 years to not more than 4 years, 12%. Kapag less than 3 years, back to regular rate na 20%. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng na-pre-terminate? Kasi ang term nga niya 5 years para ma-exempt, no? Kung hindi mo natapos yung 5 years, yun yung ibig sabihin ng na-pre-terminate. Hindi na umabot doon sa term na 5 years. So, remember, yung mga nandito, nakalist dito, is subject to final tax rate. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na siya isasama sa iyong gross income kasi na-tax na yung income na ito. So, except yung prices na 10,000 or less. Isasama mo siya sa gross income na isa-subject natin ng yung sa tax table at saka ng 8%. So, please remember, no? Okay, so let's illustrate yung computation ng taxable income sa problem. So, let's start dun sa first case natin na pure compensation income earner. So, wala siyang ibang source of income kundi yung kanyang work. Mr. Bienvenido is a minimum wage earner employed by Bilal Incorporated. He has no other source of income aside from employment. In 2018, he earned a total compensation of 125,000. Mr. Bienvenido contribution to SSS, PhilHealth, and HMDF, yan yung pag-ibig, amounted to 7,000. He received his 13-month pay amounting to 10,000. What is Mr. Bienvenido's income tax liability for the year? Yan yung case A. Sa case B, next year daw, in addition to compensation income, in addition dun sa sweldo niyang 125 and 13-month pay, mayroon pa siyang na-receive na overtime pay, 70,000, night shift differential, 20,000, hazard pay, 15,000, holiday pay na 20,000. So, compute for Bienvenido's income tax due for the year. Okay, so based on sa problem, ang given is, sa case A, ang given is 125,000 na compensation income. Tapos meron siyang mandatory deduction para sa SSS contribution, PhilHealth at HMDF or pag-ibig na 7,000. Tapos, in addition, meron pa siyang 13-month pay amounting to 10,000 pesos. So of course, i-deduct lang natin based doon sa formula natin na diniscuss sa sa previous slides na i-deduct lang natin yung mga mandatory deduction. So 125 less yung SSS, PhilHealth, etc. na mandatory deduction na 7,000. Tapos yung mga non-taxable benefits din niya up to 90,000. So since 10,000 lang yan, hindi pa niya na-exceed yung 90,000 na limit, ibig sabihin yung entire amount ay exempt, yung 10,000. So ang total deduction natin ay 17,108. Yan na yung tinatawag nating taxable income. So, yung 108, yung taxable income, titingnan natin ngayon dun sa table kung ang gagamitin nating rate ay sa table, no? Pero sabi naman kasi sa rule natin, ayan for individual, citizen, and resident aliens, purely compensation income earner, ang gagamitin daw nila ay yung tax table lang. So, balikan natin yung taxable income, 108,000. So, titignan mo lang yung range, kung saang range kabilang yung 108,000. So, nandun siya sa 0 to 250, in which ang tax rate ay 0. So, ibig sabihin, wala siyang tax na babayaran. So, nandun siya sa first line, from 0 to 250,000. So, ibig sabihin kasi nito, magkakatax ka lang, ang ibig sabihin ng table na yan, magkakatax ka lang kapag nag-exceed na ng 250,000 yung iyong taxable income. Kasi nga, 0 up to 250,000, 0 yung iyong taxable income. Okay. So, requirement B naman tayo. So, in addition, dun sa given kanina sa case A na 125,000 na kanyang compensation income, ito yung additional assumption. No? Meron siyang overtime pay, meron siyang additional pay, 70,000, night shift differential, 20,000, hazard pay, 15,000, holiday pay, 20,000. So, yun yung additional data. So, mayroon siyang additional payment na na-receive. So, idadagdag natin lahat yon. So, 70 plus 20 plus 15,000 plus 20,000 equals 125,000. So, 125,000 plus 125,000 equals 250,000. Then, ganun ulit. I-deduct natin yung mandatory deduction. Tapos, yung kanyang non-taxable benefit up to 90,000 lang. So, for example, nag-exceed na 90,000, magiging taxable na yon. Nag-exceed ng 90,000 yung kanyang non-taxable benefit, magiging taxable na yon. So, up to 90,000 lang ang exempt. So, minus 17 equals 233,000. So, unfortunately, based doon sa ating tax table, nandun pa rin siya sa 0 to 250,000, which is 0 yung tax rate. So, ibig sabihin, exempt pa rin siya. Hindi pa rin siya magbabayad ng tax. Miss Abriel is the owner of Bebe Party Favors store. She also works as a party host. In 2018, her gross store sales amounted to 1.2 million, while her gross receipts as party host amounted to 450,000. She has signified her intention to be taxed at 8%. In income tax rate, her first quarter tax return, what is Miss Abriel's income tax liability in 2018? So, yan yung case A natin, no? So, yung given yan lang. Tapos, may additional assumption. So, ilalagay na lang natin dito, case B, assume that Miss Abriel above failed to signify her intention to be taxed at 8% tax rate on gross sales. Her first quarter income tax return and cost of sales incurred in 2018 amounted to 850 and meron siyang operating expenses na 350,000. So, parang magiging dalawang case lang itong problem natin kasi yung first paragraph, ang sabi is, pinili niya matax ng 8%. Dito naman sa second case, hindi niya na-signify. So, hindi na pinili yung kanyang intention na mag-avail ng 8%. So, ibig sabihin, siya ay gagamitan ng tax table. So, basically, yun lang ang magiging kaibahan nung dalawa. Yung unang case, 8%, and yung pangalawang case, gagamitan natin siya ng tax table kasi hindi niya pinili yung 8%. So, according sa rule natin sa case B ng taxpayers, kapag siya ay purely self-employed or nagpa-practice ng kanyang profession, at hindi niya na-exceed yung gross sales na or gross receipts na 3 million, ang rule sa kanya is that kailangan niyang mamili. Meron siyang option na 8% or yung income tax table. So, yung letter A, yan muna ang gagawin natin. Assuming na pinili niya ang 8%. So, hindi natin kailangan ng tax table pag pinili niya yung 8%. So, i-add lang natin yung income niya, 1.2 million plus 450,000, yung kanyang income as host. So, ang total receipts niya is 1,650,000. Tapos, since hindi siya mag-aabil ng tax table, you have to deduct yung 250,000 na exemption. So, ang kanyang taxable income is 1.4 million lang. So, yun na yun. Multiply mo na yung 1.4 million ng 8%, ang kanyang tax is 112,000. So, dun sa second assumption naman, i-refresh lang natin. So, hindi niya pinili yung 8%. So, kung hindi niya pinili ang 8%, ang mag-a-apply sa kanya ay yung tax table. And mayroong additional data. Yung kanyang cost of sales ay 850, tapos yung kanyang operating expenses is 380. So, kailangan natin yun kasi ang tax base ng tax table is yung taxable income. So, para makuha natin yung taxable income, kailangan natin ng cost of sales at saka operating expenses. So, let's start. Ito na yung case B. What if hindi niya inabil yung 8%? Ito yung alternative. So, pag hindi niya inabil yung 8% at matatax siya using yung tax table natin na ito, so, of course, kailangan mong i-compute yung kanyang taxable income. So, gross sales or gross receipts, yung total pa rin yan. Ang total ay 1,650,000 rather. Tapos, ibabawas natin yung cost of sales, 850. Tapos, yung gross income niya, difference ng dalawa is 800,000. Then, less operating expenses, 380. So, taxable income niya is 420,000. So, yan na ngayon ang itatax natin using yung tax table. So, sabi ko nga kanina, yung taxable income, titignan mo lang naman kung nasa ang range. Yung sa first two column ng tax table, yung sinasabi kong range, nasaan yung 420,000? So, yung 420,000 na amount ay nasa gitna ng 400 at saka 800,000. So, line 1, 2, 3, 4. So, nasa line 4 siya. Line 3. Line 3. 1, 0, 2, 250 yung line 1, then 250 to 400, yung line 3, correct. Line 3, 400 to 800,000. So, nandun sa line na yon. So, ganyan gamitin yung tax table. So, para malaman yung tax niya, tingnan natin yung last column. So, ang sabi dyan, pag nandyan sa 400 to 800,000 daw, is ang tax niya is 30,000. So, ayun. Kaya nga yung 400,000, ang tax niya is 30,000. Nandun na sa taas. Pakitignan sa solution sa taas, sa tax due. Yung first 400,000, ang tax niya ay 30,000. Tapos, sabi dyan, balik tayo sa tax table, anong sabi? Plus 25% of the excess over 400,000. So, yung sobra sa 400,000, itatax mo pa daw ng 25%. So, magkano ba ang sobra sa 400,000? Doon sa taxable income natin na 420. Di syempre, 420 minus 400, magkano ang sobra sa 400,000? 20,000. So, itatax mo pa daw yan ng 25%. Kaya, 420 minus 400,000 times 25% equals 5,000. So, ang total tax niya ay 35,000. So another illustration, Mr. Blanco is the owner of a music lounge. For 2018, records show that gross sales and receipts amounted to 2,350,000. Cost of sales was 1,050,000. Operating expenses 550,000. Operating income was 175. Compute for Mr. Blanco's income tax due for 2018. So, ang naiba lang naman dito compared sa previous example natin is mayroon na siyang other income. Yan yung operating income na 175. So, idadagdag lang naman natin yung 175. Kasi income din yun. Diba? So, yun lang yung difference niya sa previous examples natin. Okay, so same pa rin ang computation. So, ganun pa rin from doon sa gross sales or gross receipts na 2,350,000. Bawas mo lang yung cost of sales or cost of goods sold na 1,050,000 equals gross income. Less operating expenses na 550,000. So, ang kanyang income from operation ay 750,000 na. Tapos, idagdag mo lang yung other income na sinabi natin kaninang difference. So, plus 175 equals 925 ang taxable income. So, wala naman kasing mandatory deduction. So, kung may mandatory deductions, isasama din yan. Pwede mong ibawas din yan. So, to compute yung tax ng 925,000 na taxable income niya, siyempre, ayan, in-insert ko na ulit yung table. Pag every time na mag-compute tayo ng tax, in-insert ko na yung table para kitang-kita niya na. So, ganun ulit, 925,000. Titignan natin kung nasaan yung amount na yan dito sa range sa first two columns sa tax table natin. So, 920,000 nandyan yan sa 800 to 2 million. Sa 800 at saka 2 million ang range niya. So, tignan natin yung third column nung line na yon. So, sabi dyan, ang tax niya is 130,000. So, dun sa lower limit, yung 800, ang tax daw nun ay 130,000. Tapos, mayroong rates dyan para sa excess. Ano ang rate sa excess? It is 130,000 plus 30% of the excess. So, yung excess nung 800,000, i-multiply mo pa sa 30%. So, paano makuha yung excess ng 800,000? Siyempre, yung taxable income nating 925 minus 800,000. So, doon natin i-multiply yung makukuha nating rates dyan sa table. So, 37,500. So, dagdag natin yung tax ng 800,000 na uh, as shown dun sa table, line ng 800,000 to 2 million. So doon natin nakuha 130,000 plus 37,500 is 167,500. So yung ganun gumamit ng tax table. So, na-illustrate na natin yung pure compensation income earner saka pure business or yung individual na nagpa-practice ng profession. So, meron na din tayong example. So, let's move sa combination. So, ito yung tinatawag nating mixed income earner naman. So, what if ganun yung case niya? Employed siya, tapos meron pa siyang business or nagpa-practice siya ng profession. So, paano ang application ng rules? So, ito yung illustration naman natin. In 2018, Mr. Bonaro, Senior Manager, earned annual compensation of 1.8 million inclusive of 13-month pay and other benefit amounting to 130,000. So, dito na natin may apply yung sinabi ko kanina, yung 13-month pay and other benefit. ay exempted up to 90,000 lang. Kaso nag-exceed na yung kanyang ito ng 130,000. Yung kanyang net mandatory contribution, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, net na daw, so na-deduct na. So, hindi na natin kailangan mag-deduct ng SSS, PhilHealth, at HMDF or Pag-ibig. Huwag mo nang hanapin yung amount niya kasi hindi mo makikita. Kasi sabi dyan, net of mandatory deductions. Ibig sabihin, nabawas na. Tinanggal na yung SSS PhilHealth. Aside from being employed, he is also into business of selling travel accessories. His gross sales for the year was 2.7 million. His cost of sales and operating expenses were 1.2 and 700,000 respectively. Other operating income was 250,000. So case A, compute for the income tax due assuming that he signified his intention to be taxed at 8%. What if gusto niya ng 8%? Case A yan. So at saka magkano ang kanyang tax? Paano po compute yung taxable income at magkano yung tax? Letter B, Mr. Bonaro opted to be taxed at 8%. Opted not to tax at 8%, not to be taxed at 8% daw. So, ibig sabihin, gagamitin natin yung table for both yung kanyang compensation at saka business income. And letter C, Mr. Bo now decided to resign from employment in February. His total compensation income by then amounted to 180, exclusive of 20,000 benefits, assuming that his business operation in 2019 were the same. So, parehas lang daw as before, and that 8% tax rate was availed. Tapos nag-avail siya ng 8%. So, paano ang mangyayari ganon? So, pag i-avail niya yung 8%, so ang mangyayari dyan is dalawa. Yung kanyang compensation income, ita-tax using yung tax table, tapos yung kanyang income from business or pag-exercise ng profession, gagamitan mo ng 8%. So, compute natin yung taxable compensation income niya at ang gagamitin natin pang tax nun ay yung table. So, 1.8 million yung kanyang gross compensation income. So, yung non-taxable 13-month pay and other benefits. So, please take note, ang kanyang non-taxable 13-month pay and other benefit is 130,000. Pero ang i-deduct lang natin is yung maximum amount na 90,000. So therefore, ang taxable compensation income is 1,710,000. So please take note yung sinabi ko kanina dun sa non-taxable 13-month pay and other benefit hanggang 90,000 lang. So, for example, kung ang 13-month pay and other benefit niya is 50, so 50 lang ang deduction. Pag 70, 70 lang ang deduction. Pag 95, 90 lang. Pag 120, 90 lang. So, ibig sabihin, ang limit ay hanggang 90,000 lang. Balikan na natin yung taxable compensation income, 1,710,000. Ang tax niyan, siyempre let's compute, nasa ang range yung 1,710,000, nasa 800 to 2 million. So, nasa 800 to 2 million. So, ang tax nun daw ay, based dyan sa table na nilagay natin, ay 130,000. Tapos, ilang percent sa excess? It is 30%. It is 30%. So, kunin mo yung excess, 1,710,000 minus 800 times 30% equals 273. So, 273 plus yung 130 kanina, 403. On the other hand, sa kanyang business income, so 2,700,000 yung kanyang gross sales. Tapos, meron siyang other operating income na 250. So, 2,950,000. So, yan yung kanyang taxable business income. I-multiply mo na ng 8%. Ayun. So, 236. So, ang kanyang total tax, i-add mo lang 236 plus yung 403 sa compensation niya is equal to 639. So, what if yung taxpayer hindi siya nag-avail ng 8%? So, ang gagamiting tax for both business at saka compensation income niya is yung tax table. And kapag tax table ang gagamitin, syempre, i-add na lang natin yung dalawang income. So, start natin sa compensation income. Compensation income, 1.8 minus 90 equals 1,710,000. Tapos, kunin natin yung taxable income ng business. So, paano ba computein yung taxable income ng business? Yung gross sales niya, ganun pa rin naman, minus yung kanyang cost of sales na 1.2 million equals 1.5, yung kanyang gross income. Tapos, ibawas pa rin natin yung operating expenses niya na 700. So, nandun sa problem lahat. Sana binalikan nyo o kaya tinake down ninyo. Nag-take note kayo ng mga vital information or pwede nyo namang balikan na lang later. So, 700,000 nga yun. So, 1.5 million minus 700,000 equals 800,000. Tapos, i-add natin yung other income. Meron ding other income na 250,000. Kaya, ang kanyang taxable income ay 1,050,000. So, add natin yun sa taxable compensation niya na 1,710,000. So, ang total taxable income niya is 2,760,000. So, yan yung kanyang taxable income. Hanapin na natin kung saang range yung 2,760,000. So, nasa ang line yon. So, nasa 2 million to 8 million. Kaya, kung magkukompute ka ng tax, yung lower limit, yung 2 million, ang tax daw niya ay, according dun sa third column, it's 490. So, given na. Tapos, mayroong 32% dun sa excess. So, compute natin yung excess taxable income na 2,760,000 minus yung lower limit na 2 million, yung nasa first column, yung lower limit. So, yun yung dinideduct natin sa taxable income para makuha yung excess. So, titignan mo dun sa lower limit. So, times 32 equals 243,200. So, ang total tax niya ay 733,200. Case number 3. So, what if nag-resign siya sa kanyang employment middle of the year? Or during the year, rather. No? Hindi naman pala middle. So, nag-resign siya. So, ang kanya lang compensation income is 180,000. Ang kanyang non-taxable benefit, accordingly, based dun sa given sa letter C, is 20,000 na lang. So, ang kanyang taxable compensation income is 160. So, since hindi nag-exceed ng 250 yung kanyang taxable compensation income, ang kanyang tax ay 0. Sa business naman niya, nag-a-avail daw siya ng 8%. So, 2.7 million minus yung, add yung other operating income na 250,000 equals 290,000. So, gross income ang tax base kasi ng 8%. So, add mo yung other income niya. So, multiply mo na ng 8%. So, yun yun. 8% of 2,950,000 is 236,000. Thank you. So, this is the end of the slide. So, this is Romualdo Fernandez Credo saying, God bless.